Hey everyone, welcome back to part 2 of the glass card. I hope you enjoyed part 1, and I kind of stopped us right dead in the middle of something. It's kind of hard to know where to start and stop, but I wanted them to be fairly even as far as time goes, because I know, maybe some people might want to sit around and watch a video for an hour, but it's kind of hard, so I figured I'd keep them a little bit shorter. And this part we'll be doing the embellishments here. And so when we left off, I was deciding to use that black piece that already has that cutout trim on the front. And so what I'm going to do here, and this is how I do it. Sorry for the glare from my light on that gold card. It's killing my eyes too. I am going to tape this down because I absolutely hate getting glue on my gold or my my metallic cardstock. It's a pain to clean off, and I can't help it. My glue oozes, so I'm gonna tape this down, and I tape it down fairly close to where I want it, and then I trim off versus trimming it down and trying to get it even on there, because that's just the way my brain functions. I'm not gonna get it even. I may still not get it even, but I'll get close here. Let me go ahead and just kind of lay it down basically where I want it. And I'm going to be trimming those down a little bit more on the sides. But now I'm going to put it in my trimmer, and I'm going to use the edge of the black paper as a guideline. And I'm just going to trim this off a little bit so I don't have to fight with it, and so I don't have to look at that glare. So I'm just basically matting this piece of black, and then I'll put the black cardstock all the way to the edge of the guide right there and just trim from there, and then I get it perfectly even all the way around. I was cutting it close there. Come on, get on there. There we go. And one more. There we go. Now I've got the beginnings of the front of my card. And I will go ahead and glue this down. Try to keep my glue away from the edges and as thin of a line as I can possibly get. And I'm just trying really hard not to get my fingers in the glue here. I don't want to get my paper all goobery. Just going to flip that over and center it best I can and lay it down. And I'll take my bone folder and just give it a good burnish here to make sure it's good and stuck. Well, there's the beginnings of the front of our glass card. Okay, so now comes the fun part. We're going to start on our butterflies, and on the back I think I'm just going to take a piece of white or off-white cardstock so that the sentiment can be written on the back, and I just need to trim it down. And I think I'll use the frame die to do that. The rectangle. I'm going to use the big one. Yep. Yeah, we'll go ahead and cut that down so it kind of, is cohesive, matches up with the card. I'm just putting a little piece of tape on there so it doesn't slip on me, because it is very close. See, you can see a little bit of that multimedia matte on the bottom of that back of the card. It's not a huge deal. You won't see it as much once I place down the little backer piece where a sentiment can be written. Because, if you're sending the card to someone, you do want to say something. Or handing it to them. And it's a good idea to make your own envelope for this. And Sam Calcott has a great tutorial on how to make an envelope for any size of card. So basically you measure the card on the diagonal and then add an inch. Cut your paper to that side, and then you just start basically folding it around by hand and it fits perfectly. So I was going to show you and I forgot. So I'll try and link to Sam's video on how to make an envelope for any size. And she calls them bouncy envelopes because she, you know, uses the card itself as a template. So when she's folding them up, it factors in the bulk of the card. All right, there we go. So now on to our butterflies. And these are Tim Holtz butterflies. And I'll put the name of the stamp set in the description box. But I think it's just called butterflies. And I'm going to choose, you know, a few of them. And then I can pick and choose later. But what I'm looking at is I'm looking at the colors because I will be coloring these. But first I'm going to stamp them out. So I'm going to grab my stamping platform and I'm going to grab my Big Misty. And I'm going to take a piece of paper and cut it, you know, roughly to the size of the inside of my Misty. So I can stamp several at one time. So I'm just going to lay that in there. And there's a little bit of double sticky stuff on the bottom of there that's going to kind of hold it in. But I am going to go ahead and put this piece of this Sizzix, I forgot what it's called, Sizzix something. Anyway, it's sticky, so just kind of hold my paper down in case I have to stamp more than once. And I will, because somehow that one butterfly on the top right got smushed, and so he doesn't stamp as well. And I do not know how that thing got smushed, but it did. So I'm picking 6. And I want to make sure they're good and stuck to my stamping platform here so they don't fall with ink on them. This wouldn't be the end of the world, but hey. And I'm going to be using VersaFine Clear. I'm going to be coloring these with water-based ink, so this will be fine for that. And it's nice and dark. And my Misty, I think, is warped because it wobbles. Makes me kind of crazy. See, right there on that spot, that one butterfly just doesn't want to stamp. So I'm just going to keep trying. I haven't given up yet. And I believe that's because he's smushed. So let this be a lesson to you. I know something happened to him. I just don't remember what. If I set something heavy on it without realizing, because you know how it is when you're in the middle of crafting. You're just throwing things out of the way. And then throw other things on top of it, and before you know it, you've smushed something. So now I'm a little bit more careful because I was sad that I wrecked my butterfly. So I'm going to do that twice because we need identical for the front and the back. I'll go ahead and get those stamped out. And I'm thankful I have dies for these because the koi fish I had to fussy cut and I had to reverse stamp them. I gotta talk Lisa into doing some more koi fish that have the reverse image. I could have probably taken it into Photoshop, scanned it and taken it into Photoshop, reversed it, and then cut it out. But that's hindsight, it's 2020, so maybe next time. Because I do have a Cricut, so. But I don't even need the Cricut. I could just take it into Photoshop, reverse it, and then print it out and cut and fussy cut it the same way I did the others. I don't know why I didn't think of that in the first place. Whatever. I've done it before when I was on the Fairy Stamper design team. So I'm just going to set those stamps aside, and I've got these here. So I've already gone ahead and cut them out, and I put their little body parts next to each one. That they're matching numbers. There's little numbers on them that match each butterfly. And so I'm setting them, laying them out so I don't get them mixed up. But I don't know if you can see, there's a number right there. And then there's a corresponding number with the body part. Because I'm going to be cutting those out of gold. So I did cut these before I colored them, just because when I color them, I, want to color all the way to the edge because it doesn't quite get the edge. And I don't know, just either or. You can color them, then cut them, or cut them, then color them, whatever floats your boat there. So I have to cut doubles of the bodies as well. And when I lay them on here, I'm going to lay them in the order that they are. And I'm off camera, of course. Let me try and pull this up a little. Okay, there we go. If I zoom out, you'll be able to see. So see how I have them in the same order? And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a piece of mint tape and I'm going to pull it down a piece about the same length, and I'm going to just lay it right smack in the middle of all of those and go ahead and cut those out. And then I'm going to move it down and cut them again. And there we go. I'm going to pull these up, and I can see the position of the ones that fell out. So I'm going to pick those up and put them where they need to be so I don't mix them up. And then the other ones I'll poke out and put where they need to be as well. Try and pick stuff up off of this mat. It's tricky sometimes. And I'm leaving the tape on, and I'm just poking through the tape. And notice I brought my platform over with me in case something fell off. I just absolutely hate having to cut again because I lost a piece. And I don't end up using all the butterflies on the windows because they're pretty good sized. And you can see I've got a little branch and some little flower die set over there. I had planned on using those as well, but I found that the butterflies took up a whole lot of space. So what I'm going to do is pull this up carefully so it stays on the tape, and I'm going to just lay it down the same way just to make sure I keep my order correct. And I'm not cutting off that excess because then I'll get confused on which side is up. Sorry, that's how I roll. All right, I've got those all cut out. Now I got this neat little thing from my friend Abraham. He made me swatches of all of the Tim Holtz Distress inks, and they're so cool. I really appreciate that. And the reason I appreciate it a lot is because right now I want to kind of match up the colors to what's inside of this card. I don't want clashy butterflies. So that looks like it was worn lipstick. So I'm just going to jot down the colors I need to look for. And I will have to do some substitutes because turns out I don't have all the Distress inks. I have all the oxides, but I want to work with inks here because oxides will cover up my black. And I don't want that. And I definitely am not going to restamp these guys. So you want to use, a dye-based ink or watercolors or something that's not going to bury your black. See, I noticed there's a color missing in here, and it's one of the colors I end up using because I was looking at the Age Mahogany. And that yellow is just too bright of a yellow for this. I think I'm going to go with the Crushed Olive. This is why, y'all, swatching is a good idea. No, that one doesn't work. It's the wrong shade. I don't know. Nope, that one's too green. There we go. Yep, there's the Crushed Olive. Now I do add some little pops of colors that are not included in here, but they're within the same kind of family range or not. I mean, I end up adding Peacock Feather just because I felt like it's a good color on a butterfly. So I'm trying to find a good red that goes, and I like the aged mahogany. Just double check in there. Nope. All you have to do is just lay it next to the others to find out if it's the right, you know, cool tone or warm tone or whatever you're seeing. So we'll pick aged mahogany, and I do end up substituting that with crackling campfire, which wasn't on the list or wasn't in the swatches. Okay. Ah, okay. Yep, aged mahogany. And let's see here. We need a green. That's forest moss. I like it. I end up having to substitute it because I also don't have that one. And I think I substitute it with old paper, and it works out fine. And we don't have any blue. See if there's any other greens here that make me excited. Nope. I'm looking at the kind of a gray, the salvage patina or the gray tone, but I decide that gray is not a good color for butterflies. So we're going to go into our purples here, because there is some purple, and I'm thinking in my mind pick raspberry, but I think wilted violet's going to do the job. And one more color. I believe I want another green here. Or a yellow. Yep. I don't know what color that was. All right, now I'll be back after I find old paper. Okay. Let me grab my colors. So here you can see I end up substituting with crackling campfire and what is that? Crushed olive and peeled paint. Peeled paint was what I did for instead of the forest moss because I didn't have it. And what I have here is I have these little Altenew brushes, and I'll color one butterfly and then I'll color the rest off camera just in the interest of time. I'm going to take the smallest brush, not the smallest, but the medium brush, and I'm going to be using that to paint my butterflies with this distress ink. And I just set the butterfly aside, and I'm going to go in with the lighter green, and just start coloring the inside part of the wings on them. Love these little brushes, they're awesome. And I'm not too worried about the body, but I do need to paint them identical. So I grab the second one and I start doing him as well. Okay, make sure I get the right lid on. And I'm not gonna worry about, you know, cleaning off the brush because I'm still in the same color family, and the ink, you know, kind of disappears on you pretty quickly. You can see how many times I have to dip. Boy, if y'all could hear my stomach right about now. I'm hungry. Waiting for Mike to get back with my food. And so I'm just kind of blending those two greens together, because of course there are green butterflies. There have to be. There's every color. And also I will be outlining them in black, and the backs need to be colored black. So now that I'm going to go into another color family, I am going to just take a paper towel and just wipe that until I don't see any more color. You know, though, I decide here that I'm just not happy with just one color, you know, or even two shades of green. So I'm going to go in with this Peacock Feather. And I'm just going to kind of accent the centers and just the outside little pretty little spotty spots of the wings. Okay, pretty happy with that. So I'm just going to set them aside and I will color the rest off camera. There we go. The one thing good about this ink, it dries really fast. That's very, very helpful. All right, now I've got all my butterflies colored, and now I'm going to go around the edge with my black. This is an alcohol marker, and I want to use alcohol marker because it dries quickly also. And just kind of go around the edge of the whole thing carefully. This one's almost out of ink. It's okay if you get a little on the wings, not a big deal at all. But once you've gone around the whole thing, then you want to color in the black, the back in black. And the reason for that is because if you won't be able to see it as much because we're doing them, you know, in reverse and apart from each other a little bit. So this just ensures that it doesn't, it just helps the illusion, I guess. I don't know. But I will do this one and then I'll do the rest of them off camera. And I'll glue their bodies on off camera as well. Okay. See, that's going to dry quickly, so if I lay it on top of the other one, it won't make a mess. But I'll give it a second. All right, so I've got them all colored. I've got their bodies glued on. They're ready to rock. They're ready to fly. And I'm not going to bend the wings or anything. It's not necessary. I'm going to now just kind of look at placement. How do I want these butterflies to go on here? And sorry about that. I'm partially off camera there. I do want to put, I'm going to put some heavy stuff down on it so that it does, so when I set them down, they don't, oh, I know what happened. I zoomed in and forgot to zoom back out. They don't just flippy flop down to where I don't want them. So I'm just kind of picking, trying to decide if I want 2 or 3 in there. 2 or 3, 2 or 3. So when you do yours, you know, that's what you want to do. You want to lay it out. Maybe you have smaller butterflies. You can get more in there. But I don't want to crowd it because then it takes away from the glass effect, you know, the kind of glass screen effect. But no worries. It's not like I won't use the butterflies that I don't put on. So, yeah. Just kind of moving them around until I get them placed where I want them. And then I'm still, you know, I'm not trying to glue them or anything until I decide how I want them. And I'm going to go ahead and speed up the video while I'm dilly-dallying around trying to decide where I want these butterflies. Honestly, I have the hardest time making up my mind because I have to feel this sense of balance, and I don't know, it's just, I can never seem to just pick a spot. I just keep messing around. Once I decide where I want them, let me move this back up in frame a little bit here. This is what I'm using. So this is 3D glue, and I'm looking for the bottle so I can show it to you. It comes in a tube, I should say, and then I bought that little, from Paper Toll Supply on Amazon. I bought that little squishy thing. What do you call that? That little plunger thingy to dispense the glue. And so the reason I want to use that is because it's clear, but you can make it as tall as you want it. You see how I'm making kind of biggish sized globs on here. Whoops, don't want that to happen. And this stuff doesn't have a bad smell or anything. I'm just wiping off the nozzle there. Pick my butterfly back up and finish putting his little globbies on there, and then I'm gonna just take it with my fingers and just kind of drop. Don't want to push down, and then I'm just gonna lightly even it out with my tweezers. So what the cool thing about this is you can, you know, change the heights of things on the fly. I wish I had known about this stuff sooner, because I really hate doing foam tape, and I don't, you know, unless I had black, and I do have some black, but it's too thick. I don't want it showing up, and so this stuff is clear. It dries clear. And pop this guy up and just set him down, and then just gently tap to kind of even it out and make sure that the adhesive is touching. Here we go. Get those down. Lay that down, and there we go. Now I need to let this dry, and I'm going to let it dry for a couple of hours, so I'll see you in a bit. Okay, now that those are all nice and dry, we can work on the back, and you see how that toll glue stuff worked. And so I need to just find the matching butterflies, and I'm going to use the same glue, but I'm not going to do them dimensional. So you'll just see me kind of spread it out a little bit on there and keep it kind of flat. So I'm keeping my nozzle just right directly onto the paper and just gluing that down and making sure he's nice and even on there. Now, why I'm calling them a he, I don't know. Maybe they're she's, or maybe they are theys. Whatever. Let's glue them on. Now, this little plunger thing I found, it's keeping the glue just fine. I worried that it would like get hard inside of there or something, but it doesn't. And it's not really glue, I don't think. It's some sort of silicone. But it's not the kind that smells like vinegar, like the stuff my husband uses on the bathtub, at all. Here we go. And the reason that you want to spend the time letting the dimensional parts of the glue dry is because, you know, you've got to lay it down on the other side, and you don't want to smush down your height. You want it to dry at that height. So there we go. We've got our little butterflies on there. Doesn't that just look really cool? I think that is so awesome. And see, when you look through the other side of the card, you see more butterflies. So it's neat. I love it. So all we need to do is just finish off the front, and hey, I've got a couple of spare butterflies. Why not use them? I'm gonna just use my regular reptile adhesive to glue these down, because I don't need the, I'm saving the epoxy glue for things like acetate and stuff like that. Now you'd be able to see, I mean, you definitely can see through it if you're trying to use it on vellum or something like that, but we're not, so I'm not worried about it. I'll go ahead and glue this one down. And then I just need to find a suitable sentiment. And there's just one little distracting spot on that black card that is just gonna bug the heck out of me. So I'm gonna try and make my sentiment sort of cover it. And maybe you can't even see it in the video, but I can see it. And if I can see it, then it's gonna bother me. So at first I'm thinking I might do a die cut. And I'm going to pull out my Tim Holtz Thanks die. But I'm not liking the way that that's going to fit. I don't want it hanging over. It's just will bother me. So let's maybe don't do that. And you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to get out my sentiments from Stampscapes, and I think these are sentiments number 4. And there are some verses in there that, you know, kind of go with an Asian theme, like the Lao Tzu, and that's the one I'm going to use. It's one of my favorites. Just holding it up so you can read it. I'm not going to read it to you. I need more of these. I just forget that I need more until I need more. But I really like the sentiments. They're just not, you know, they're pretty neutral. So I think that what I'm going to do is I'm going to stamp this out on a piece of colored cardstock. Let's see here. I have some sort of tan color. I think I'm wanting tan. I definitely don't want white. Oh, come on out. There we go. Yeah, I like that. It kind of goes, you know, blends in with the other colors on there. And I am going to grab an acrylic block, and this is one of my flat ones. I like those for these rubber stamps because I just feel like I have a little bit more control. And I'm going to use the VersaFine Clear, and I'm going to ink it up really good because you only get one try here. And I don't want to emboss it or anything like that. I just want it plain. Okay, give it some press, let it get the ink down soaked into that paper, and carefully lift, and oh, yay! I'm always so excited when they come out. Oh, because again, I'm kind of lazy, and I'm just kind of waving that off so it'll kind of dry a little bit, and then I'll trim it down with my baby trimmer, my little Tim Holtz baby trimmer. There you are. And I'm going to get it pretty close. So on this baby trimmer, if you put it up to the end of the guide, that's where it cuts, pretty much. So you have to be mindful of that. It's going to be close. It's not going to do like the other trimmer does. And that's one of the things I like about it. Yeah, okay. I'm just going to trim off the sides, and I always like to fit things. And I'm just using the lines there in the grid to make sure that I'm nice and even. But I didn't get my first cut even, so it's okay. That's what decal trimmers are for, but I'm not going to use the decal trimmer. I just don't want it. It'll be too distracting from the shapes of the card that are on there already. Yes, 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 yes. And I'm not going to pop that up or anything. I'm going to leave it flat. Just kind of looking around where I want that placed. Still trying to think about hiding that one little spot that's bugging me. Yeah, and I can't see it on the video at all, but I could see it in person. And I think that's where I got, I don't know if I spit when I talked or it just all of a sudden there's a little water spot there. Yep. And very carefully place it down. Cover that spot. Yes, yes, yes. And I am very happy with this. And I'm only gently pressing down because I don't want the glue to ooze out. So here we go. We're finished our card. I hope you like it. See if it gets a little bendy on you, just bend it back. And see, I've got a couple of those extra little butterflies I can put on there. I think I'll do that. Put this little green one. Yeah, I like them there. And remember, I colored those black on the back. They weren't black to start with. Well, I hope you like this video. If you do, please give me a thumbs up and leave a comment in the comment box below with any of your thoughts, emotions, whatever, outbursts. And please consider subscribing to my channel. I'm really happy that all of you come to watch my videos. I thank you so much, and I hope that you have yourself a wonderful, wonderful day. And that's me telling you to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. Y'all have a good one. Bye-bye.